The advance of the Ukrainian defense forces on the left bank was recently officially confirmed by the Ukrainian side. I would like to remind you that for a long time, certain events were taking place here, obscured by the fog of war. What I have not heard in the last few days. And that now the breakthrough to Crimea will begin. And about the fact that the occupants are already leaving a number of coastal settlements. And about the fact that the false start of the Russian media about the escape of the occupants from the left bank was not a false start, but something more. And many other versions. However, I have to disappoint you, according to my observations, none of the bravura versions about the left bank currently floating on the net are true, unfortunately. Yes, the AFU in several locations cut the road of the first line of defense, significantly complicating the actions of the enemy, limiting their mobility to a depth of 3 to 5 kilometers of territories controlled by the Russian troops. The Russian troops are not abandoning the bridgehead, and on the contrary, they have formed tactical groups, about 2 brigades in number, which should counteract the advance of the AFU. In addition, the main enemy forces of 2 divisions are waiting for the Ukrainian side to act. At this stage, I am extremely skeptical of the cries of forward to Crimea. And other statements. Let me remind you that in order to be at the stage at which the Ukrainian armed forces are now on the left bank, the hardest work has been done for almost a year. And there are no less difficult tasks ahead under no less difficult conditions. And the forces on the left bank are extremely small, especially the mechanized component. It would be good to strengthen and saturate the bridgehead, not to go to the Crimea. Therefore, I ask you to pay attention not so much to ephemeral goals, but more down-to-earth ones. The right bank of the Kherson region is no longer being shelled from Russian mortars. Yes, artillery continues to terrorize, but still a security buffer is gradually being created, which is pushing the enemy further and further away from the positions that allowed them to terrorize the cities on the right bank. We need to focus at least on this stage, without premature fantasies. All in good time. Apparently the Russian commanders have realized that the exsanguination of the center group of troops by redeploying the most combat-ready brigades to Avdiivka may end badly for them. And the undersupplied 25th All-Russian Army has not been able to solve the issue of the lack of quality resources. It seems that the Russian staff geniuses have decided to reinforce the group of troops center at the expense, expectedly of the group of troops west. And will reinforce the direction of Liman-Kupinsk axis by the 20th Combined Arms Army, thus weakening it. This is to say that the zone of responsibility of the West Group, which includes the offensive on Kupinsk, will begin to subside. And this is provided that the resource that the enemy has concentrated near Avdiivka will be enough for further assaults. And if they don't, well, in case of its absence they will continue to pull resources from the Lugansk bridgehead, which in turn will weaken their capabilities along the Liman-Kupinsk axis. To simplify, in order to strengthen one direction, they have to weaken the other. As for the reserves and rear of the Russian side, only guesses remain. Otherwise, why such frantic transfers of forces with weakening of other important directions?